Hi, guys. I'm back with my first episode of what I am going to call A Story Goes With It. And first of all, I'd just like to say hello to all my friends, uh, and family that, are going through this unusually difficult time and hoping that everyone is staying safe. Hopefully, everybody's healthy, practicing the social distancing and washing your hands a lot, staying home, uh, not being around people that are sick, whatever. um, Hopefully we'll get this over with, very very soon, and life will return to as close to normal, as we know. And hopefully that will happen very very soon. But back to the subject at hand. Okay, today's story goes with it. Goes back to July of 1980. And I attended a concert with my best friend Dan Murphy. We went up to Toronto, Ontario, Canada to see The Who touring North America at the time. And just to give you a little bit of a backstory on this, on December 3rd, 1979, The Who played a concert in Cincinnati, Ohio, and unfortunately, 11 people died um, due to uh, poor planning and some conditions which made for a very dangerous situation. People were trampled, suffocated, needlessly. And anyway, the significance of this event, not only was it the Who, but the fact that the next night on that tour they played at Memorial Auditorium in Buffalo, and from what I've been told, it was a very emotional show, a great performance by the band, but the audience and the band members were very emotional at this event. So, fast forward 6 months ahead into July of 1980. I was in my sophomore year in high school at Bishop Timon, and my best friend and I were planning to go to the concert. And because of what had happened in Cincinnati, it was only 6 months later, my parents were very leery about, allowing me not only to go, to a concert, with The Who, but not attending in Buffalo, but attending in Toronto, which is about 100 miles, not quite 100 miles, in Canada. Um, you know, and it's an outdoor show. There's a lot more people than just 18 or 20,000 people. You were probably talking, 60, 70,000 or more. It was at the CNE Stadium, or what they called Exhibition Stadium, on the waterfront in Toronto. And I had to beg and plead my parents a lot, and had to give a lot of assurances, that everything was going to be okay. Something else that was going on at the time, I was attending summer school. I failed math, failed math a lot in high school. Just could not get the, algebra, geometry, all that stuff. It just didn't click with me. So I had to promise my mother that I would not miss school the next day. No matter what time we got back from the show, I would get up and I would go, and I would not miss the class. And so we did. We did go, and here's my ticket stub. $15 was the price of the ticket. Now there were, I think, four bands on the bill for this show. There were Jay Giles, Heart, and The Who. I can't remember who the fourth band was, but let's think about that. $15 in 1979. The federal minimum wage was $3.10. I was working at Arby's. Okay, so for $3.10 an hour, it took a little while to scrape up the money for the ticket. But anyway, and here is my souvenir tour book from the tour as well. And anyway, so my parents finally broke down and agreed to let me go. Um, so after I got out of school on that Wednesday, uh, hooked up with Danny and another guy that was going with us, a friend of Danny's named Robin Nowak. The three of us piled into, I think it was Robin's car, and drove up over the Peace Bridge. And to give you some more information, I mean, today, you want to go into Canada, you have to have a passport. Back then, you just went over the bridge, you stopped at the toll booth, the customs agent asked you what your citizenship was, where you were going, how long you were going to be there, and if you had anything to declare, if you were bringing anything with you. And that was it. Easy. On your way. It's not like that anymore. Different world. Anyway, so we drove up to Toronto, and it was a really nice day, warm, clear skies. I don't remember Jay Giles. We got there, I think by the time we got settled into our seats and everything, they were maybe halfway through their set. But then Heart came on, and I was a big Heart fan. They were great. Ann and Nancy Wilson kicked ass. And the funny thing about that set was there were two guys sitting next to us. Apparently they'd been following this tour for 4, 5, 6 shows. And when Heart got to the encore, one guy says to the other one, he says, "Oh, I wonder if they're going to play Rock and Roll, as the encore." And then I said, "Rock and Roll? That's Led Zeppelin. That's not Heart." "Oh no, they play Rock and Roll." And sure enough, they played it. And Michael DeRozier, the drummer, I mean, he nailed it. They were great. Awesome set that Heart delivered. And then the Who, they opened up with some stuff from the Who Are You album. They were doing both, things from Who Are You, and they were also throwing in a lot of stuff from Quadrophenia. So they were playing, things like The Music Must Change and Sister Disco from the Who Are You album. And it was also a great show. And at the end of the night, Won't Get Fooled Again and Bob O'Reilly. I mean, those are Who staples. It was a great show. So finally the show ends. I don't know, maybe 11 o'clock. Then anybody that's been to a big concert like that, you're not, unless you're leaving before the show is actually over, you're not getting out of the parking area anytime fast. I'm sorry, it just doesn't happen that way. So by the time we got out of the parking lot and then drive 95 or so miles back to Buffalo, I think I got home, it might have been 4:30 in the morning. So I had time to lay down, get maybe 3 hours of sleep, maybe, and then get up. And because it was summer school, my mother was not driving me. I had to ride my bike, and from where we lived in South Cheektowaga to Timon, which is in South Buffalo, that was 5.5 miles on the bike. And didn't have a lot of sleep. I'm like dragging, but hey, it was well worth it. And a great show by the Who, and some memories that'll stay with me forever. And hope you enjoyed this little insight to July of 1980. All right, we'll see you on the next episode of Story Goes With It. Be sure to put your comments in, and we'll see you again soon. Thanks.